I'm really excited to introduce our final storyteller for this evening, Robin Bennett. Robin emigrated from England as an infant to Eastern Ontario and lived in rural villages due to his father's career as a large animal veterinarian. Starting cycling early in life for pleasure and to get to activity places like beaches or the local city, which was Cornwall, 30 kilometers away. He became more aware of the efficiency of bikes for transportation when he borrowed his cousin's bike in England and delivered it to his summer home in Belgium via the Netherlands and Germany in his late 20s. There's definitely an international theme to today's event. After this experience, he used bikes whenever possible to explore many cities for fun and as part of his career as a bicycle transportation planner. During his 20s, he worked 3 years in the Arctic, followed by 4 years of backpacking around the world using bikes wherever convenient. Robin gained his Master's of Urban Planning at McGill by the late 1980s and ended up in Ottawa by the mid-90s. After several years volunteering and eventually chairing the former Regional Cycling Advisory Group, he was hired as the city's first cycling facilities coordinator. Talk about history. Starting in January 2000 and retiring as a project manager within the Active Transportation Planning Unit just a few months ago in March 2025. Robin remains passionate about urban transportation cycling in Ottawa and the potential to address a multitude of urban problems through significantly increasing the number of residents who choose it as a means of transportation. Let's all welcome Robin.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction, and hello everyone. Very nice to see you here. I'm happy to be here myself. I was going to actually speak a bit about myself. I think you covered off quite a bit quite nicely, so I could skip a bit. Basically, I'm a small town guy. I used to bicycle just to get around because it was a way to get around. Go to visit my friends in the country, go down to the beach in the St. Lawrence River, stay away, Cornwall, and so on. I wasn't passionate about cycling at all until some people know me here might be surprised is the way I talk. But I wasn't passionate so much about cycling, but I will say that now I am much more. Even at the end of my career, I believe very, very strongly that Ottawa itself could have a much larger proportion of people cycling, and we could become a great cycling city akin to the North European cities. I mean, they've done it in Europe, proven that cities can have a majority of travel by bicycle. Like there's hundreds of cities actually in Holland, Denmark, Germany, Sweden, etc. So I think that Ottawa could be like that, despite the challenges that we do have. So I've got a couple of topics for discussion. Basically, I have to apologize in advance. It's just about no graphics or anything. It's just words. So I will speak. Hopefully, everyone will follow me clearly. But I've just divided this into three segments. Why is bicycle transportation important? I mean, apart from I know I'm preaching to the converted already, but why is it important to have bicycle transportation? What do you do? And then I would speak to impediments growth in the bicycle modal share, just the use of the bicycle becoming proportionally more important way to travel around the city. And finally, just a few words, a couple of ideas that I have about what should be done to grow cycling, which I think a lot of you are already doing. So, So again, I think a lot of you know about these things, but I do want to run by them just so people can think about it. And actually the text is a little bit to help me speak on it. So, most important thing of all is a bicycle. Riding a bicycle is fun. You go get to where you're going, you can travel somewhere. Way more fun than anything else, pretty well. And if you're doing it, just regular daily tasks. Why can't you have fun while you go to get groceries, go to the bank, and meet your lawyer, whatever you're doing? The exercising part is really, really important as well. Health professionals always support cycling, and will even try to provide resources to build infrastructure, reduce societal healthcare costs. Everyone knows that, but it is actually very true. Holland has proven that through multiple studies of the healthcare system and comparing the number of people that are actually cycling, and they've been able to quantify the value in reducing the cost for healthcare. It's basically people are healthier. Greenhouse gas reduction is very topical these days, and it's very important. In Ottawa, there are many, many, many short car trips, 4 kilometers, 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers, that could just as well be done by bicycle, and that's my strong belief it would happen if we had the right conditions. But better air, that's not really an issue right now, but what I'm speaking about, my vision of the cycling is like a European city. You can go and visit some of these places and you'll notice the air is definitely clear. The influence of moving away from private automobile to a car is very significant. We don't have it here. We're moving in that direction, but we have to go an awful lot further to get to that point, I think. Lower infrastructure costs. So people are going to argue that. They're going to say, oh, you're adding new sections to the roadway, new asphalt. The point is, ultimately, with enough bicycle transportation, I'm serious, you don't need to build the roads for cars. You don't need to widen them. So that's my belief. Freeing up of land for more effective and attractive uses in urban areas. So if you don't have as many cars, again, I'm speaking of when Ottawa gets to 25% travel on bicycle, you just don't need all that space for parking, especially downtown. You can build parks instead, or put up all kinds of, use the land for better things than parking cars. I mentioned inexpensive, well, transportation equity, obviously, bicycles, anybody can learn to ride a bicycle. You don't need a lot of money, you can get around. If we have a good network that's set up, people feel safe to ride, then they simply would. And it doesn't matter, whether you're poor or rich. I also include bicycle transportation as being critical for the idea of intensification. It just simply makes sense. If you have more people, more land uses, more concentration of activities and land uses, you just can't use cars. You have to use something else. You can't walk 4 kilometers that easily. Bicycle is definitely the answer for that. So it's another thing as well. Quieter, healthier, more peaceful environment. Everyone's cycling. Human-scale vehicle, improved social interaction. I think Cornell would agree with me that we go riding down the street and we meet someone we know. We say hi, we stop. Can't do that with a car, okay? So again, bicycling is fun. It's common sense, good way to travel. I don't think I need to say anything for this one. This is going to be right across the city. So here's a difficult thing. The challenge is about increasing the rate of cycling, getting people to accept it, and getting people to try it out. There's a lot of impediments. And of course the main one is the predominance of motor vehicles. All of us have grown up with motor vehicles being the chief way of travel. Almost nobody alive has spent their life not being exposed to continual bombardment, propaganda about how you need to have a car to succeed, to get around, so on and so forth. So that's one of the biggest issues right there. There's an excess of car culture in North America. It's ongoing. Maybe things are starting to turn around a bit. I'm an urban planner. that the situation that we have now with car dominance is because of urban planning. It's the way we've laid out our cities. It's the way that we just assumed that the best way, the only way to travel is by a private motor vehicle. And that's why we held strong. I mean, we've been doing this for like 75 years, ever since World War II. And the other thing here now is, I don't think that people, the general public, really understand what you can do with a bicycle and how you can travel, how you can do things, not just for fun or pleasure. You can actually, anywhere you want to go in the city, anything you want to do, almost, you can do that on a bicycle. But I don't think the average person gets that at all in Ottawa. Unfortunately, they have to try it to learn and find out that, as all of you know, it's a great way to get around. Yeah, I think that there's also been some sort of bad portrayal. There's been sort of anti-bike messaging maybe in the background, and I think there has been a lot of this. The average person thinks a bicycle is slowing them down as they drive the car. A lot of people do believe that, and you kind of have to work on that. I don't know how you can get around it. If you were to try riding a bicycle, they might think differently about it. But it's actually true that's been holding us back. And in Ottawa, there's many people who ride bikes. They only do it for recreation and sport, and they won't use a bike to go to the bank. They will just go 50 kilometers racing somewhere, but they're not thinking about replacing their regular travel needs. Yeah, the big one is the fear of sharing the road space, and unfortunately, that's a major problem. I learned that it's quite possible to bike almost anywhere, on almost any road if you're properly trained, but it's not something that the average person really ever will do. So it's a little bit of a tough one there, the fear of sharing the road with motor vehicles. So you can come back and say the city itself should be doing a lot more in providing dedicated cycling infrastructure where people don't have to share the space with cars and other motor vehicles. So the city of Ottawa is doing a good job of that. I think that we could do way better with more resources, but we've been growing our resources. We've got lots and lots of professionals who know what to do, and there's more funding from the municipal government. A lot more. There's a lot more support from the municipal government than there was in the past. So we're definitely on an upswing. And the final point I made, reluctance of the majority to leave the comfort, speed, and safety of driving, despite the fact that a lot of people know that it's not so good for the environment. So I think that there's more impediments in this, but I think I've covered most of them. So the last bit of my conversation is just some ideas that I have. These are the ideas I've had for a very long time. Actually, before I started work, exactly 25 years ago. We need the government to have supportive policies. And I would say that Ottawa has had, even before amalgamation, it's had fairly good policy support of the concept, but the actual implementation and development of specific policies in health has been a little bit lagging. But we do have positive policies, and even more so now than we used to. The province has not been very supportive of cycling, and it's been an impediment here in the city of Ottawa. In fact, staff from the city of Ottawa have led the province in changing legislation like the Highway Traffic Act to make it more accommodating of bicycle transportation. Quite a few of our staff actually have dealt with the ministry on this. And now I think as of the last 10 years, the province is finally starting to recognize what the value is of cycling transportation, maybe catching up a little bit on Quebec. because Quebec has been supporting this for like decades and decades. The federal government has started to help as well. They now have a federal policy for the whole country that's relatively new. So that's the policy. We obviously need more dedicated bike infrastructure to make people feel comfortable and not feel scared to ride the bicycles. And I think we're doing that in Ottawa. The pace of development of our infrastructure is faster than ever in the last few years, and there's really a lot of new infrastructure is going to come online in the next couple of years. I'm excited about that. I'm suggesting, our policy does support the crosstown bikeway network as a way of getting from one part of the city to another, at least on one route that's close to where you live, and close to the destination. And I think our policy our work is focusing on that, which I think is the best way to go. Try to get a fully interconnected, low-stress cycling network across the city. And then obviously, opportunistically, you're going to have bike lanes wherever you can, any road that's getting rebuilt. And I think the city policy now says it has to be looked at. You can't just go and start designing a road without considering bicycles and pedestrians. So I think that promoting what we've done as well, I think that we're a little bit, we're not doing as well as we could in getting out to the public what's been done, what the new facilities are, and also actually how to use them. But yeah, for the crosstown bikeways, I mentioned wayfinding, letting people know their destinations, travel time, distances, and obviously making new additions to the network. And what I did want to mention about the crosstown bikeway network, it's really great what we're doing, but I think we could do a higher quality cycle track. And I just got a quick photograph here. This is from 2010. In Copenhagen, this is one of the main cycling arterial roads, but look at all people there. And the main point is look at the width of this. We're making cycle tracks 1.8, 2.0 meters wide, just like this. So I think we need to work on that. Getting more width. If we are going to have large numbers of people cycle commuting, doing utilitarian cycling, we need wider cycle tracks and bike lanes. I guess the last thing I wanted to talk about was the culture. I've already mentioned car culture. Car culture is very, very, very strong. We know that right across North America, right here in Ottawa too. But I still think that we need to do more to try and build a cycling culture that's oriented towards utilitarian cycling. We have a strong cycling culture for fun biking, recreation, racing, sport, and so on. But what's way more important than that is cycling to get where you want to go for transportation. And I think that we don't have a strong culture of that yet. And we need to work on that. So I think it's very difficult as well to do that, but it would reduce political opposition from pedestrians and drivers. We often get opposition to trying to put in new infrastructure because it may be taking space away from the other users. And usually the drivers will win because they're very much the majority. I personally think that if everyone would take a CAN bike course and learn how to ride the bicycle with traffic in the interim before we have a 100% foolproof, safe cycling network throughout the entire city, you still have to sometimes ride your bike and share the space with drivers. So I've always said that CAN bike courses teach you that, but people don't take it. Furthermore, the parents don't send their children to take it. in most cases because I think they think it's not safe. But that is, I think can bike courses are definitely a way to go, and the city has promoted them and sponsored them, but it's very, very difficult to get people to actually pay $100 or whatever it is and spend a week of their time and learn how to ride the bikes safely in traffic. You guys might not like this, but I still think that we should have enforcement. Bad cycling behaviors. I just don't like to see people, just breaking the law. It looks bad for all cyclists, and if motorists see that, it just raises their opposition to cycling. So I just wish that we could penalize people who are doing really stupid things on their bikes. And there's certain behaviors I've actually mentioned here. We have cycle tracks, and a lot of people go the wrong way on them. And I think that it's not really dangerous, but if you're going through an intersection the wrong way in a cycle track, the driver that's turning might not see you. And people should just know that. For safety reasons, everyone should be going in a bike lane in the direction they're designed for. I don't know how we get people to do that, but I think if we have more training, more camera, more people just talking about it, and I think it would help to move the bar. So peer pressure, if you see someone obviously doing something stupid, you might want to say, hey, I do all the time. So I just think if we're going to progress, we just can't have tons of people riding the wrong direction on bike lanes. But my final beef, I guess, is the people who wear spandex and half of them pass. You can't go on the bike and go at a regular pace, just like a normal person. So that's really my last point. Video. It's a very poor quality one, but this is my dream. This is how much it be. Again, it's going back to Copenhagen in 2010, and it's a busy arterial leading into the downtown. It's a morning rush hour, and that's what you see. They've got systems like that, and I don't see why we couldn't go a lot further in that direction. I think I said enough right now. Thanks everyone for